Cultivating Calmness Podcast. I want to talk a little bit today about how to prepare for the holidays coming up with your family, your friends, your coworkers, people that maybe you have a difficult relationship with. And what are some of the things that you can do about that? How do you prepare? You know, sometimes I think about doing these podcasts or these talks maybe a little too late in the game. So I wanted to get a head start on this. We've got a couple weeks until Thanksgiving. I really can't believe that it's already almost Thanksgiving. So I don't know about you, but I am not ready for Thanksgiving. I am ready, however, for just the holidays in general. I love this time of year. I love the leaves changing, the leaves falling and just fall, but also winter and Christmas. Christmas is one of my favorite holidays. And I will be decorating here very soon. Not officially decorated yet, but yes, I am a before Thanksgiving decorator. Sometimes it really just depends on when we get to it. Sometimes it's been before, sometimes it's been after. So I don't know, feel free to tell me about where you stand. I know some people are very strict on it has to wait till after Thanksgiving. You can still celebrate Thanksgiving and have Christmas decorations up, in my humble opinion, and you are free to disagree with me. That's okay. So I talk with a lot of my clients about the holidays, and sometimes we will talk months and weeks, weeks and months in advance of a holiday to kind of get them to think about it, prepare for, be ready for, the holidays coming and what they need to think about, what they need to do to protect and help themselves. So ultimately, when we talk about what you can do these holidays coming up, no matter what holiday you're celebrating, if you're planning to get together with family or you're thinking you're gonna have to or need to get together with your family, these might be some things for you to think about and consider. So if you have a good relationship with your family, you're probably not worrying much about what am I gonna do, right? Maybe you're thinking about, well, what are we gonna do with the kids? Their nap time overlaps when we usually meet, or, it's really difficult for us to travel all over. Those are maybe smaller considerations, depending on the family. Sometimes those are much bigger considerations. I know those are things that have affected my family specifically. You have to consider when you get married, if you're newly married, or even if you're not newly married, just the idea of bringing two families together into one and then your family, it's a good idea to think about what you want as your new family, even if it's just you and your spouse. What is it that you want to do on holidays, and then decide from there, because your families are each going to want something from you, and they may both want you to spend time with them, and depending on where they live and where you live, right, that may not be possible. And are we going to do the alternating holiday thing? That was my life growing up. I guess luckily for us, both my mom and dad's parents were in town, so it wasn't too difficult to see all of them if we wanted to, but we would often alternate holidays. So if my dad's side had Thanksgiving, my mom's side got Christmas. And then Easter, I'm not sure, it seemed like it was hit or miss. It was supposed to be alternating. And then the next year, Christmas and Thanksgiving would switch, and so should, Easter. And so that's just how it went. But moving into my family, when I married my husband and then we had kids, things changed, and there's that expectation of like what I was used to growing up versus what he was used to growing up, which was different. So I was more okay with moving around and going house to house on Christmas morning, because that's just what I did. That is not what he did. And he was less okay with that. And over time, we have figured that out, and we have, tweaked and changed what we do, especially when we introduced, kids to that mix. Traveling and bringing the baby and then multiple kids was not ideal and not super helpful. So yeah, like those things are maybe not as simple as we think they are. They're not an easy decision, but they are decisions you will have to make. Now, the getting ready for the holidays talk that I'm talking about is boundaries. What boundaries well, let me pause there. What boundaries do you think you need to set for yourself and your family? What are boundaries? I say boundaries are just rules that you have in place to protect you. Okay, that's boundaries are a me issue, not a you issue. So I'm not going to go to your house for Christmas, family member A, and tell you that you can't drink. Okay. Because I know when you drink, you get, belligerent and you're inappropriate around my kids. And so I don't want that around my kids. So you can't drink. No, not how a boundary works. I will say, I really don't like it when you drink because you get inappropriate around my kids. I would like for you to not drink. If that's not something you can do, I won't come. Or if I see that you're becoming belligerent, or I see that you're not able to handle your alcohol and you're doing the things that I don't like, then me and my family, we're going to leave at that time. And here's your warning now. So I can't make you not drink, but I'm going to tell you what I am and am not willing to do. Does that make sense? So when it comes to family dynamics and getting together with your family, those are the things that I want you to think about. What is it that you're stressing out about being around your family? Think about it. Is it the arguments? Is it the questions? Is it them not respecting your boundaries? Is it them not respecting you? Is it they always want to schedule Christmas dinner, at 2:00 in the afternoon, and that's right in the middle of the kids' naps. And if we don't take naps, it's going to set everything off. And I've asked them to, move dinner to maybe lunchtime or later dinner time so we can at least get a nap in. And they're unwilling to do that. What do we do about that? Well, maybe this year you decide, my boundary is we aren't missing nap. So if you would like us to be there, you might want to consider changing the time, or you're just going to have to see us another time. We will do Christmas dinner on our own, or we're going to host it at our house and it's going to be at 4:30. And so you're welcome to come to our house. We're doing Christmas dinner at 4:30. Kids will be napping at 2:00. Thank you. Would love to see you, but that's just what we're going to do. That's going to upset people, right? Probably not going to upset you. Although if you want to see your family, you just don't want to deal with the hassle, you're probably going to feel a little upset as well. But the question is, am I going to be more or less upset, more or less stressed by setting that boundary and following through, right? If my kids not getting their nap is going to cause all kinds of havoc and all kinds of drama, and I'm going to be stressed and they're going to, screaming, and there's going to be all these issues all because my kids didn't get their nap, is it going to make me feel better? Is it going to make our family life better? Is it going to make the dynamics all better because I say, hey, I'm not willing to do that? You have to ask yourself that. So this is conversations that I have with my clients, especially around holidays, because we want to spend time with our families. We want to make people happy. And to whose detriment or whose benefit are we making people happy is the question. And those are the questions you have to ask yourself. Sometimes setting the boundary, people worry that setting the boundary is going to make problems worse for them. And that is a possibility. I can't deny that fact. So, if you're talking with your spouse or somebody, or just even contemplating it in your head or talking to your therapist, these are things that we go back and forth with my clients. Well, if I set that boundary, they're going to be more upset and then they're going to take it out on me in these other ways. Okay. Well, that's a fair consideration in your decision. And I want you to think about, do you want those retaliations to continue? Is this a boundary you may have to hold in place for a longer period of time? Are you willing to set a boundary with the possibility that the people you set it with may be upset with you, may not want to talk to you, may want to cut off relationship with you? Is that going to benefit you in the long run? Will it still hurt if your family members cut you off and don't want to talk to you? Yeah, I'm sure it will. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? That's the question. Now, sometimes boundaries could be not so drastic. It may be, I'm not going to tolerate you saying certain things to me or talking about certain things. And so if those conversations come up, or I often use cussing as an example, if you're going to cuss around me, I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to hang up the phone. I'm going to leave, right? I'm going to change the subject, right? That may be a way you set a boundary. It's just every time you bring up this subject, right? Politics, at Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, if you're going to bring that up, I'm going to ask you to politely, please, let's not talk about that because we disagree. Let's just talk about something that is going to be better for us both. And then we can go from there. So if they can't respect that, then maybe you need to go further. But if not, maybe you can think about what things are going to be more helpful and going to, keep the peace with everybody. So as far as boundary setting is concerned, that's what I want you to think about this year for the holidays. Think about what's going to benefit you and your family the most, what's going to help you, what's going to make life easier. And if that is not showing up or setting limits, great. If that means attending, but maybe having some limits, like we are leaving at this time no matter what, because maybe your family says dinner's at 3 and then it always ends up being at like 4:30. Well, if you have to leave by 5, say we have to leave by 5. So whether we eat dinner or not, we're leaving by 5, then be prepared for that. Have some snacks, have some food. Be prepared to take a to-go box of food if things aren't ready because you said you're going to do something, so do it. Well, I could probably talk about this for a while and give lots of examples, but I think you know what I mean. Boundaries can be hard. They can be hard to set. They can be hard to enforce. So don't put forth a boundary that you're not willing to enforce and follow through with, because your family, the people around you, will learn to manipulate those. They'll learn that you don't really mean it. So you want to be able to know that you mean what you say. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for joining me today. And I'll see you again next week.